Has went down, man, late last night. The WNBA Union released a statement pretty much confirming to the world that they did not come up with an agreement. So now we did a video yesterday pretty much telling you guys what was the next phase. The next phase looks like it's going to be status quo. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to head right on over to X and pull this statement on up. It stated, as the current WNBA CBA expires at
January 21st, 2025, midnight strikes, and the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement officially expires with no deal in place. 24 months of negotiations, and the Players Association just released one of the harshest statements ever directed at league management. That inflatable rat outside the NBA store in New York, that's not just theater, that's a universal labor symbol that means one thing: we're heading toward a work stoppage, and if you think this is just contract drama, you're missing what's really at stake here.
Now, here's the full statement right here that has been released. Let me blow this up all the way so you guys can see it. Now, many of us thought that this was going to happen. And unfortunately, it did, It don't look good for the 2026 season. I've been telling y'all over and over again, it didn't look good. It said at midnight, 2022, WNBA, WBPA collective bargaining agreement will expire, despite demonstrating our willingness to
look at that language. Undervaluing player contributions, dismissing player concerns, running out the clock. The Players Association isn't negotiating through press releases anymore. They're calling out Adam Silver and the ownership group directly. And here's what makes this different from typical labor disputes. The WNBA just came off a record-breaking season. Attendance up 38%. Caitlin Clark's games averaging over 2 million viewers on major networks. This should be the easiest negotiation in league history. Instead, we're staring down a potential strike.
With the same spirit and seriousness. Instead, they have remained committed to undervaluing player contributions, dismissing player concerns, and running out of clock. So as y'all can see there, they know that it's over. They know that it's all over. It stated, today's display of an inflatable rat, a universal symbol of labor protest outside of the NBA store, calls attention to.
The timing tells you everything. Free agency was supposed to start January 21st. Teams were supposed to begin rebuilding rosters, extending contracts, making moves. Instead, complete freeze. No signings, no extensions, no draft preparation. Kelsey Mitchell, Brianna Stewart, Arek Ogunbowale, nearly every veteran in the league is a free agent right now, and none of them can sign anything because the entire system is in limbo. College players preparing for the April draft have no idea if there's even going to be a league to enter.
They are jeopardizing the livelihoods of players and trust and investments of fans, all in the name of preserving rigorous provisions that no longer belong in women's basketball. Players care deeply about their fans and take pride in honoring the loyalty every time they take the court. The league tactics harm current and future players and the very people who show up for the game in communities across the country.
Here's where the disconnect becomes obvious. The players' last proposal asked for 70% of net revenue sharing, minimum salaries starting at $1.3 million, scaling to $2 million over the life of the deal. The league's position: they floated a memorandum of understanding late Friday night, just hours before the deadline. Not a comprehensive proposal, not a good faith negotiation. A last-minute document that sources say the union is still reviewing. That's not negotiating, that's stalling.
The league and team's actions, the players remain unafraid and unwavering in their commitment to doing what is necessary to secure a transformational new CBA. This agreement must include a salary system tied to a meaningful share of revenue that will not exist without the player labor, mandates professional working conditions, and require protection that honor the players who built this league and set the generation up for success.
Now pay attention to what happens next, because this is where it gets complicated. Under the expired CBA, teams can still extend qualifying offers and core designations until January 30th. That means technically, front offices could pursue free agents under the old system. But here's the problem. Why would any player sign a contract under the old salary structure when a new CBA with massive pay increases is still being negotiated? It's like buying a car the day before the new model year drops. Nobody's doing that. So we're stuck in what's called status quo. The old rules apply, but nobody wants to use them.
Why it's been lasting 24 months is beyond me, guys. I've been covering women's basketball now. This will be my second year going into, covering the WNBA sector of it. Never seen anything like this. I done covered NBA, NFL, and I've never seen anything like this. This is beyond me, man. Like, this is a crazy, crazy development here, man. It goes on to say the idea of a motion was floated by the league a few days.
And this is what separates casual labor disputes from potential disasters. The Players Association made it crystal clear they're not backing down. Pay equity is not optional. Progress is long overdue. That's not negotiation language. That's strike preparation. The league says they're not considering a lockout, which means if there's a work stoppage, it's coming from the players. And unlike the NBA, where max contracts and guaranteed money create hesitation, WNBA players have been playing overseas for years. They know how to survive without league paychecks. That's leverage.
And the union is now reviewing the proposal. WNBA front office were told this week that the team should prepare to extend qualifying offers and core destinations under the expiration agreement. Sources said that would mean teams technically could offer players qualifying offers and core destination as soon as Sunday and up until January 20th. So to have a system in place for free agency, it looked like, if the CBA expires. So, like, from my understanding, they can still pursue players, they can still core players. This is great. It said it is widely expected that players would not want.
Let's talk about what this really means. The WNBA operates under a completely different financial model than the NBA. The league has historically lost money, subsidized by NBA revenue sharing, but 2024 changed the equation. Charter flights became standard, viewership exploded, sponsorship deals multiplied. The economic foundation shifted, and the players know it. They're not asking for charity. They're demanding a fair share of revenue they're directly generating. The problem: the league's financial transparency has always been murky. Players don't have access to the books. They don't know actual revenue numbers. They're negotiating blind, and that breeds distrust.
This situation is nasty work. Judging by that WPA statement, they talking trash to Adam Silver, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, but this is bad, dog. This is very, very, very bad. I keep saying that they trying to get this money, the money that they don't got, but to each his own, man. Down in the comment section, let me know y'all thoughts about this one, man. Keep them bells on. I will be back with more content, man. And until next time, shake the haters off. And as we find out more about coring players like Kelsey Mitchell and many others, I'll be sure to let you guys.
Here's what makes this situation particularly dangerous for the league. The WNBA finally has mainstream momentum. Caitlin Clark's rookie season brought unprecedented attention. Angel, Reese, Cameron Brink, the entire 2024 draft class elevated the product. Expansion teams in Golden State, Toronto, and Portland are set to launch in 2025 and 2026. Franchise valuations are climbing. And right at the moment when everything's clicking, when corporate sponsors are finally paying attention, when the product is better than it's ever been, the entire operation could shut down over money. Think about the optics. The NBA just signed a media rights deal worth $76 billion over 11 years. $76 billion. And the WNBA, operating under the same parent company, can't figure out how to pay their players $1.3 million minimum. The math doesn't work. The PR doesn't work. The logic doesn't work. But here's what the league is actually worried about. Revenue sharing sounds simple until you start doing the accounting. 70% of net revenue means the players get to see the books. It means transparency. It means if the league claims they're losing money, they have to prove it. And that's where this negotiation is really stuck. It's not about whether players deserve more money. Everyone agrees they do. It's about how much control the Players Association gets over the financial structure. Look at what happened in the NBA's last CBA negotiation. The players wanted 51% of basketball-related income. They settled for somewhere between 49 and 51% depending on revenue triggers. But they got transparency. They got auditing rights. They got mechanisms to verify the league's numbers. The WNBA players want the same thing, and ownership is resisting because once you open those books, you can't close them again. And here's the part that should concern everyone who cares about women's basketball. The Players Association statement mentioned the very people who show up for the game and communities across the country. That's not just rhetoric. They're signaling that a strike wouldn't just hurt ownership. It would hurt fans. It would hurt cities that just built practice facilities. It would hurt the college players who've been dreaming of going pro. They know that. They're saying it anyway, because they believe the long-term gain is worth the short-term pain. Now think about the precedent this sets. If the WNBA players strike and win significant concessions, it changes the entire landscape of women's professional sports. The NWSL is negotiating their own CBA. Athletes Unlimited is expanding. Women's sports are having a moment, and this negotiation is the test case. If the players can leverage their newfound mainstream attention into real structural change, it proves the model works. If they strike and lose public support, it sets women's sports back a decade. The league knows this too. That's why they're playing it so carefully. They can't afford a lockout because the optics are terrible. Billionaire owners locking out underpaid women athletes right after a record-breaking season, that's a PR nightmare. But they also can't just cave to every demand because it sets a precedent for every future negotiation. They're trying to find the line between fair compensation and financial sustainability, and they're running out of time to figure it out. So what happens next? The Memorandum of Understanding the league floated Friday night is the key. If it contains real movement on revenue sharing and minimum salaries, there's a path forward. If it's just a stalling tactic with minor adjustments to the old structure, we're headed for a strike. And the deadline matters. Training camps are supposed to start in late April. The season tips off in May. If there's no deal by March, the 2025 season is in serious jeopardy. And here's the question nobody's asking: what if the players are right? What if the WNBA actually can afford these salaries, and ownership is just protecting profit margins? The league won't release detailed financials. They claim they're losing money, but they're also expanding by 3 teams and signing new broadcast deals. Those two things don't usually happen simultaneously in a failing business. Maybe the players aren't being unreasonable. Maybe they're just refusing to accept the same excuses that have kept women's sports underfunded for decades. The inflatable rat outside the NBA store isn't just a protest symbol. It's a message. The players are done negotiating quietly. They're done accepting incremental progress. They're done being grateful for crumbs, while the league celebrates record growth. They want their share, they want it now, and they're willing to sit out a season to get it. So here's where you come in. Do you think the players are justified in demanding 70% revenue sharing and million-dollar minimum salaries, or do you think they're overplaying their hand and risking the league's financial stability? Because this isn't just a labor dispute. This is the future of women's professional basketball being decided in real time. Drop your take in the comments. And if you want to stay updated as this situation develops, subscribe because we're covering every move until there's a resolution. The WNBA's biggest crisis is just getting started, and how it ends will determine what this league looks like for the next decade.